dark where secrets fall.
The veil between worlds is thin, they say, especially when the heart yearns for what's lost. Tonight, we delve into a chilling tale of love that transcends the mortal coil, a story where desire becomes a haunting obsession. Prepare to journey down Elm Street, where the autumn chill carries whispers of a love that refuses to die, and the shadows conceal a spirit's desperate grasp. Welcome to Sleepy Horror Tales, where the line between dreams and nightmares blurs, and the echoes of the departed linger long after the sun has set. The setting sun cast long shadows down Elm Street. A chill autumn breeze rustled the fallen leaves, a subtle reminder of the fleeting nature of things, of life ... and perhaps of what lies beyond. This is the story of Brittany, a young woman haunted by a love that crossed the boundaries of life and death, a chilling tale of what some might call a spirit attachment. Love knows no bounds, they say, not even the boundary between the living and the dead. Brittany was drowning her sorrows with her two best friends, Ashley and Megan. Another breakup, another shattered romance. Brittany, with her fiery spirit and a penchant for falling hard and fast, had a history of short-lived relationships. She slumped onto the worn couch in Ashley's apartment, a half-empty glass of wine in her hand. "I swear, I'm cursed," Brittany sighed, her voice thick with frustration. "This is like the fifth guy this year. Everyone else is coupled up, happy, and I'm just stuck." "It's not a curse, Britt," Ashley said, refilling Brittany's glass. "It's just life. Sometimes it takes a while to find the right person. There are plenty of fish in the sea." "Exactly," Megan chimed in, ever the optimist. "And seriously, if I can find someone, you definitely can. You just need to keep believing in love. Even when it feels impossible, that belief can make all the difference. If you truly desire it, love will find its way to you." Okay. Cheers to that," Brittany mumbled, forcing a smile. They drank late into the night, trying to wash away Brittany's heartache. She'd always been plagued by something a fortune teller had told her years ago. If you marry, either you'll bury your husband or he'll bury you. The words had become a dark cloud hanging over every relationship. But Brittany, despite her romantic misfortunes, was a fighter. She refused to be defined by fate. She craved a perfect love, a fairy tale romance, even after so many disappointments. Ashley, trying to offer a practical solution, suggested, "Hey, you know that old church downtown, St. Michael's? They have those singles events sometimes. Maybe you could go check it out. You never know who you might meet." The idea took root in Brittany's mind. Night after night, she dreamed of a handsome stranger, a figure shrouded in a blinding light. He was always just out of reach, a silhouette against a radiant glow. It felt like a premonition, a sign of good things to come. The following Sunday, Brittany found herself at St. Michael's. The church was surprisingly crowded, filled with people hoping for a connection, a spark of romance. After the service, as she was leaving, Brittany realized her phone was missing. Panic set in. She frantically searched her pockets, her purse, everywhere. Just then, a young man noticed her distress. He had kind eyes and a warm smile. "Hey, are you looking for something?" he asked. Brittany, momentarily stunned by his attractiveness, felt a jolt of electricity, that instant connection she'd always craved. She quickly composed herself and explained about her missing phone. The man, whose name was Chris, offered his phone so she could call hers. A kindly church volunteer answered, saying she'd left it in the kitchen while helping set up refreshments. Later, Brittany recounted the encounter to her friends. "Oh my God, Britt, he totally gave you an opening." Ashley exclaimed, "Did he ask you out, get your number?" "No, I panicked," Brittany admitted. "I got all flustered." "Girl, you gotta play it cool, but not that cool," Megan said, shaking her head. "He was probably cute, right? You can't let opportunities like that slip away. It's like a free dessert sitting in front of you, and you're just staring at it." A few days later, Brittany's phone buzzed with a text message. It was Chris. He'd saved her number from when she called her phone. He was checking in, asking how she was doing, subtly flirting. He asked her out to dinner. Dressed to impress, Brittany muttered to herself, a thrill running through her. Their date was everything she'd hoped for. Chris was charming, funny, attentive, everything her previous boyfriends hadn't been. He listened when she spoke, made her laugh, and treated her with genuine respect. Brittany felt a connection she hadn't felt in a long time, a sense that this could be something real, something lasting. After dinner, Chris drove her home. His image lingered in her mind long after he'd left. She felt a warmth spreading through her, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, he was the one who could heal her past hurts. That night, she texted Chris back and forth, their messages flying across the digital space. He responded instantly, making her feel valued, seen. Around 11 p.m., the messages stopped. Chris didn't reply. Brittany assumed he'd fallen asleep. It didn't matter. It had been a perfect night, and she drifted off to sleep feeling content and hopeful. The dream returned. The same radiant figure, the man shrouded in light. He reached out his hand towards her, as if beckoning her closer. The light was so intense she couldn't make out his features, a frustrating detail that always left her feeling agitated. Suddenly, her phone rang, jarring her awake. It was 4 a.m. Gradually, she answered. "Hello, did Brittany go out with Chris last night?" A woman's voice asked, trembling. "Yes." "This is she," Brittany replied, her heart starting to pound. "I'm Chris's sister. I have some terrible news. Chris, he's gone. He was in an accident." Brittany's world tilted on its axis. She couldn't process the words. Chris's sister explained that he'd been in a car crash on his way home after dropping Brittany off. She gave Brittany the details of the funeral, inviting her to come and pay her respects. Brittany mumbled a promise to attend, her voice barely a whisper. After hanging up, Brittany sat in stunned silence, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't bring herself to go to the funeral. The thought of seeing Chris lifeless, cold, was too much to bear. She wanted to remember him as he was, vibrant, smiling, full of life. The pain was overwhelming, a crushing weight on her chest. They'd only met twice, but it felt like a lifetime of connection had been ripped away. Brittany retreated into herself, locking herself in her apartment, ignoring her friends' calls and texts. She wallowed in grief, questioning the universe, fate, everything. She pulled out the one photo she'd taken with Chris, a blurry selfie from their dinner date. His warm smile in the picture brought fresh tears. Exhausted, she eventually fell asleep, clutching the phone to her chest. The dream, the light more real than ever. She could feel the warmth emanating from the figure. The man stepped forward, his hand outstretched. In her sorrow, Brittany simply stared. The light began to fade, revealing the man's face. It was Chris. He smiled, his voice a gentle whisper. "It's me." He embraced her. The morning sun streamed through the window, the sounds of the city a distant hum. But Brittany couldn't bring herself to leave her bed. She lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if Chris had really visited her. The embrace had felt so real, so tangible. She tried to sleep again, but couldn't. Restless, she wandered around her apartment, eventually grabbing a cup of instant noodles. As she ate, she heard a distinct thump, thump sound like someone walking around her apartment. She listened intently, but the sound stopped. Shrugging it off, she continued eating. Suddenly, a chill ran down her spine. She lost her appetite, leaving the noodles half-eaten on the table. The apartment felt cold, despite the bright afternoon sun. She closed the curtains, plunging the room into a twilight gloom. She crawled back into bed, pulling the covers around her like a shield, pretending to sleep. The air conditioner hummed, the sound morphing into a labored breathing in the silence of the room. Bang! Bang! A forceful pounding on her door startled her. She jumped up and opened it. A blast of cold air rushed in. "I came to see you." The deep, familiar voice sent shivers down her spine. In that instant, Brittany realized she was dreaming. It was a rare moment of lucidity within a dream. Fear mixed with a strange excitement, a bittersweet joy at seeing Chris, even though she knew he was a spirit. But there was no fear, only a sense of familiarity. Hesitantly, she asked, You're still here." "I couldn't rest, not without taking care of you," Chris replied, his smile as warm as she remembered. It melted her heart. "You should go home," Brittany said softly. "I can't go home," he said. "Why?" "I'm a spirit and you're alive. Your home has protection. I can't enter." Chris reached out and gently touched her shoulder. Brittany jolted awake. A heavy, icy weight pressed down on her, making it impossible to breathe, to move. Her limbs were frozen. It took several agonizing minutes for her to regain full consciousness. She looked at the clock. 6:30 p.m. Almost evening. This sensation is a known phenomenon called sleep paralysis. It often happens when someone sleeps excessively during the day and transitions into the evening, causing mental fogginess and exhaustion. After waking up, Brittany replayed the dream, unable to dismiss it as mere fantasy. The feelings were too authentic. She immediately turned to small decorative statues on her shelf, a lucky cat and a miniature Buddha, to face the wall. It was 8 p.m. Brittany sat in her chilly apartment, unsure what she was waiting for. She wondered if Chris would be able to enter now. Time passed, but nothing happened. She decided to take a shower. The hot water cascaded over her, a welcome contrast to the coldness she'd felt all day. But as the water hit her shoulder, the spot where Chris had touched her in the dream, a sharp pain shot through her. While showering, Brittany distinctly heard a faint whisper calling her name, Brittany. Turning off the shower, the sound ceased. She finished her shower and returned to her bed, burying herself under the covers. Exhausted but unable to sleep, she scrolled through her phone. She looked at Chris's Facebook profile, trying to piece together his life, a life filled with laughter, adventure, and warmth. Occasionally, she heard the sound of furniture scraping. At first, she dismissed it as coming from the neighboring apartment, but then she heard it again, this time clearly originating from within her own apartment. Fear crept in. She decided to try to sleep, turning off the lights. But her eyes darted around the room, sleep impossible. Having slept most of the afternoon, she reached for her sleeping pills, a common remedy for her frequent insomnia. The pills took effect and she drifted into a hazy sleep, Chris's name repeating in her mind like a mantra, Chris, Chris, Chris. In her dreamlike state, the door to her bedroom creaked open. A shadowy figure entered, stopping by the table where she'd left her half-eaten noodles. The figure began to eat, making loud, slurping noises that pulled Brittany back towards consciousness. She looked, her vision blurry, a familiar form. It looked like Chris. Chris? She mumbled, "You can come in now." Yes, I'm in. Thank you. Are you hungry?" "I just ate your noodles. I can't get up. I think the spirit is affecting my energy." "Don't worry, you'll get used to it. I miss you so much. Can I hug you?" Chris slowly approached her bed, climbed in, and gently embraced her. But this time, there was no warmth, only a bone-chilling coldness like being pressed against a block of ice. Brittany stared, her eyes wide with fear and confusion, unable to move. She felt a rough, cold hand against her neck, and Chris leaned down and softly kissed her neck. The room gradually faded to black. The insistent ringing of her phone woke her. It was 11 a.m. She answered. "Brittany, are you okay? You sound awful." "I'm coming over." It was Ashley. Brittany hung up, touching her neck, feeling a soreness throughout her body. She glanced at the noodles. They were now spoiled, covered in maggots. Horrified, she quickly threw them away. Looking in the mirror, she saw red marks on her shoulder and neck, like she'd been aggressively scratched. It was painful to move. She applied some muscle rub and took some cold medicine. The day was a blur of snacks scavenged from the fridge, half-eaten and left out. She lay on the couch, watching TV, reading magazines, scrolling through social media. The effects of the cold medicine made her drowsy, and she fell asleep again. When she awoke, she found herself in her bed, in her bedroom. Confused, she thought, "Wait, I was on the couch. How did I get here?" She saw Chris sitting in a chair, eating a bowl of noodles with grotesque, slurping sounds. Something felt deeply wrong. "Chris, you're still here?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I love you. I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to marry you. My family is already at the door." There was applause. When she woke up, Brittany found herself actually on the sofa. It was 3 a.m. Brittany was in utter panic, because in her dream, after receiving Chris's proposal, Brittany opened the door and saw a vehicle coming to pick her up. It wasn't a wedding car, but a hearse. Terrified, Brittany couldn't sleep. She stayed awake until dawn. She told her two best friends everything. Ashley and Megan concluded that Brittany was being followed by a spirit attachment. They advised her to visit Chris's grave and offer him incense. Because Brittany had promised to attend Chris's funeral but didn't go, she owed Chris an incense offering. Immediately, on a gloomy afternoon, Brittany went to Chris's grave to offer him incense and beg him to let go of their connection, to stop following her. Looking at Chris's picture on the grave, Brittany now felt a chill of fear rather than longing. Her two close friends took Brittany to get a blessed red stone bracelet, hoping it would bring peace and dispel the negative energy of the spirit attachment. That night, even though her two best friends stayed over, Brittany couldn't sleep due to anxiety and fear. She hesitated to go to sleep, clutching the bracelet tightly. Her eyes darted around the room. 2 or 3 hours passed, and while Ashley and Megan slept soundly, Brittany remained awake, tired and restless. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper near her ear. "Why are you here and not sleeping? Lie down here." The whisper sent chills down her spine, and she immediately sat up, looking around in panic. Ashley and Megan were nowhere to be seen, the room empty and cold. Then, from a dark corner, a figure gradually emerged. This time it wasn't Chris, but a tall, imposing man with shaggy hair, two horns on his head, and fierce, glowing red eyes. He roared Brittany's name with terrifying intensity. At that moment, the bedroom door burst open. Ashley and Megan woke up, but Brittany had fainted. Brittany dreamt she was at the church where she and Chris had first met. Everything seemed to be all right. Brittany woke up to Ashley and Megan's calls. Ashley saw that Brittany was sweating profusely while sleeping, trembling, and couldn't be woken up. Brittany discovered a shocking truth. The spirit attachment that had been following her for the past few days wasn't Chris, but another spirit that had disguised itself as Chris to manipulate her trust and love. It was Chris who had returned to save her in her dream last night. Remembering Chris's words, the group went to the church where they had first met. There, Brittany sought help from the church's clergy. After some questioning, Brittany remembered that a few years ago, she had visited a cemetery with her family and friends. Due to her playful nature and tendency to joke about everything, Brittany had casually complimented a photo of a young man on a strange grave. She had even said, "Wow, if he were alive, I'd totally go for him." This light-hearted comment had caused the spirit of that man to follow Brittany for years. This spirit had followed her, staying outside her house until she had turned the lucky cat and miniature Buddha statues to face the wall, allowing the spirit to finally enter. And so, Brittany had unknowingly been living with this spirit. It had sabotaged all of her romantic relationships, ensuring that she would only have him. That's why Brittany's love life had always been troubled and difficult. The spirit had grown stronger by draining her energy, gaining more power over time. And the culmination was what happened today. The clergy performed a ritual to sever the spiritual connection and sent the spirit to stay at the church, preventing it from disturbing Brittany anymore. After that day, Brittany dreamt of Chris. He smiled at her and then turned and walked away. And from then on, Brittany no longer had strange dreams or felt the chilling presence that had haunted her. Slowly, she began to regain her vitality and her sense of self. She started to look healthier, more vibrant, the light returning to her eyes. She also became calmer, less driven by a desperate need to find love. She let go of the frantic search, allowing things to unfold naturally. She started focusing on herself, on her friendships, on her career. She took up yoga, started painting again, and even adopted a small, fluffy dog from a local shelter, a furry companion who provided unconditional love without the complexities of romantic relationships. And of course, it happened when she least expected it. Not long after, she met someone. It wasn't a dramatic, lightning bolt moment like with Chris. It was a slow burn, a gradual connection that built over time. His name was Alex, and he worked at the same art supply store where Brittany bought her paints. He was quiet, thoughtful, and had a gentle humor that made her smile. He wasn't the perfect man of her dreams, but he was real, genuine, and kind. They started with coffee dates, then moved on to walks in the park with her dog, and eventually quiet evenings at each other's apartments. There were no grand gestures, no overwhelming declarations of love, just a comfortable, steady companionship that felt right. Ashley and Megan, initially skeptical, were thrilled for Brittany. They saw the change in her, the genuine happiness that radiated from within. They teased her about finally finding someone normal after her string of dramatic, ill-fated romances. One evening, as Brittany and Alex were cooking dinner together in her apartment, a scene that would have been unimaginable just months before, Brittany felt a profound sense of peace. The apartment, once filled with a chilling, unseen presence, now felt warm and inviting. The shadows had lifted that dot. She thought about Chris, not with the aching sadness she'd felt before, but with a quiet gratitude. She realized that he had, in a strange way, helped her. His brief presence in her life and the subsequent ordeal with the possessive spirit had forced her to confront her own insecurities and her desperate need for validation through a romantic love. It had been a painful, terrifying journey, but it had ultimately led her to a place of self-awareness and genuine connection. Brittany understood now that the fortune teller's words weren't a curse, but a warning not about death, but about the dangers of clinging too tightly to an idealized version of love. It was a lesson she'd learned the hard way, a lesson etched in fear and loss, but ultimately a lesson that had set her free. She looked at Alex, chopping vegetables at the counter, his brow furrowed in concentration. He glanced up, caught her eye, and smiled. It wasn't a dazzling, heart-stopping smile like Chris's, but it was a smile filled with warmth, affection, and a quiet understanding. Brittany smiled back, a genuine, heartfelt smile that reached her eyes. She knew that this relationship, like any relationship, would have its challenges. There would be disagreements, misunderstandings, and moments of doubt. But she also knew that she was entering it with a newfound strength, a deeper understanding of herself, and a willingness to embrace the imperfections of real, lasting love. The hearse, the clinging spirit, the terrifying dreams, they were all part of her past, a chilling chapter she would never forget. But they were no longer her present. Her present was filled with the aroma of simmering food, the soft glow of the setting sun, the comfortable silence shared with a man who loved her for who she was, not for who she desperately wanted to be. And as she looked around her apartment at the ordinary, everyday objects that now held a sense of comfort and belonging, she knew that she was finally home. Not just in a physical space, but within herself. She had faced the darkness, and she had emerged stronger and more whole into the light. The spirit attachment was gone, replaced by a genuine connection, a love built not on fantasy or desperation, but on the solid foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and a shared journey through the complexities of life. And that, she realized, was a love worth waiting for. The spirit was a test, a painful, horrifying one, but ultimately a necessary one. It had taught her the true meaning of love, not as a possession or an escape, but as a shared journey, a partnership built on trust and genuine connection. And for that, she was, in a strange and unexpected way, grateful. And so, Brittany's journey teaches us that true love is not a possession, but a liberation, a dance of souls that honors the boundaries between the living and the dead. As the embers of this tale fade, remember that the spirits we invite into our lives, whether living or departed, shape our reality in profound ways. May your dreams be peaceful, and may you find solace in the knowledge that even in the darkest of nights, the light of genuine connection can guide you home. Until next time, sleep well, and beware the whispers that linger in the shadows. Good night.
Is it the way